बट सर आपने जैसे काफ़ी सारे वर्ड्स यूज़ करे और अब मेरे ख्याल से हो सकता है कि इन वर्ड्स के बारे में लोग सर्च भी नहीं करते हों. डेटा माइनिंग आपने बोला, ऑप्टिमाइजेशन जैसे, और फिर आपने बोला रिकमेंडेशन. ये मुझे कुछ कुछ शब्द जो लग रहे हैं आज के टाइम में, जैसे डेटा साइंस, मशीन लर्निंग, एआई, या जो सबसे लेटेस्ट वेव चली हुई है जेन एआई.
जी.
एग्जैक्टली. सो आपकी जर्नी उस स्टेप पे शुरू होती है, तब तो मेरे ख्याल से लोगों को ये भी नहीं पता होगा कि अरे एआई कोई चीज़ होती है, या है होता भी था तो बहुत बहुत लिमिटेड लोगों को. तो कैसे रहा आप मतलब कैसे इनके अंदर में एंट्री करते रहे, और अगर आप इफ़ यू कैन जस्ट रिलेट इट बैक टू द टुडेज वर्ल्ड, व्हाई इट बिकेम सो मच इम्पोर्टेंट नाउ.
Sure.
So if you can describe about that path.
Sure. So I started my journey in 1993.
Okay.
Right? Now, actually, people had been dreaming about artificial intelligence from the 1940s.
Exactly.
Right? Where Alan Turing kind of dreamt up this idea that why can't we make computers more intelligent? And he said, look, there are two ways of making computers intelligent. One way is to build a brain of an adult in a computer and let it reason with that knowledge. Right?
Exactly.
The other was to say, well, let's give it a child's brain and give it tools to learn. Now, what is the tool that humans use to learn? Experience. Right? So a child looks up and sees something, doesn't know what it is because he hears a sound, points at it and says, goo goo gaga. Doesn't even have vocabulary to explain what that is. Right? Then some teacher there, a parent or an older sibling will say, aeroplane. And now it has an experience and a name for that experience. Right? Next time it hears a sound, looks up and says aeroplane. It turns out to be a bird. So then the teacher again says bird. So now you have two examples of experiences with different names for them. But what the human can do from that is to generalize amazingly well. Right? So it will extract features. If the object does not flap its wings, then it's a plane. If it flaps its wings, it's a bird, maybe. Right? Even in Northern Ireland, I had the same experience. I was, like I said, the only Sikh walking around.
Exactly.
So people there, the humans, actually decided if you have a turban on your head, your name is Sarab. Right? So when my brother came and said, I want to study in this university also for a year, people initially started calling him Sarab because he also had a turban. Right? So it is a real world experience, an example of how what has to happen then is you have to give them reinforcement. Now, reinforcement in India is where the parent gives a thapad to the bacha and says, ये तो गलत आंसर दिया तुमने, IIT में कैसे एडमिशन लोगे, वो स्ट्रेस डाल देते हैं बच्चे पे. हमने सिर्फ कहा कि भाई देखो ये मेरा भाई है, मैं यहाँ हूँ, तो we are different people. And then what did they do? They specialized their understanding of who was Sarab. Earlier it was person with the turban on their head. Now it became person with the turban on their head, maybe with a longer nose. Right? So another feature was created for them to learn that concept. Right? So the basic idea here is that Alan Turing came up with this hypothesis that if you can start off with a blank slate and give them digital data, which is the experiences of a computer, then maybe it can learn concepts and start to do things that humans can do. Right? The other path of saying, let us just build an adult mind with all the knowledge failed. They were called expert systems or knowledge-based systems, where you tried to extract all the knowledge from Kuldeep and put it into a computer and hoped that that would be good. But most humans can't even explain the knowledge that they're using when making decisions. And it is too difficult a task. So when they realized that, then they said, okay, machine learning has to be the only way. Right? Now, of course, there were many ways that people were researching of how to do machine learning. And the one that seems to be showing the maximum promise today is the connectionist approach, which is the neural network approach. Right? Where we don't understand the human brain very well even now. right? And so what is interesting is that we have been able to create these models that have consumed a lot of digital data and have created a model that we don't know whether it's a real model of the human brain. Exactly. We have taken inspiration from certain aspects of our understanding, right? But hopefully, it can start to behave more like a human. And we can see that with large language models, right? They are capable of creating natural language that looks very human, right? Maybe it's too good for humans, right? We would not be able to use the same vocabulary they use, but it is very believable. And so I laugh when people say LLMs hallucinate. I say actually now humans are hallucinating that the LLM is the source of all knowledge. Right? Because actually today every child says, oh, if I need an answer, I'll ask the LLM. Right? But of course the LLM makes mistakes.
Yes.
But we are blind to those mistakes. And that is my biggest concern. That AI is now able to generate content which is so believable that people are going to start believing it as being the truth. And that is, I think, the scariest aspect of AI. Where it can create content that is completely wrong and can mislead the human race in believing what they believe, right? So, we've got to start looking at these aspects now of AI and understand how we are going to integrate that in with our human society in a way that it can be a beneficial technology rather than a not so beneficial technology that can actually break up society. Right? And we are seeing some examples of that. Social media, along with AI-enabled content generation, is creating a world which is very polarized. Today is not, even India is not the world that India that it used to be when I was a child.
Yes.
Right? Everybody is ready to eat each other up if you actually say something that is against what they believe in. Right? So that polarization could be the reason for future wars.
And also, right, what you also mentioned, like for example, if I am like, type of person, and I think A example is right? And now because I do have access to the internet, and the internet also knows me or my personalized profile. He is also showing me the similar type of content. Which I'm using as a validation. Hey,
it's
this world is correct.
Yes, absolutely.
And then
absolutely. And we are seeing a lot of examples of that, right? People who had very warped ideas, who earlier thought they were alone in their crazy ideas, now feel that the world around them is as crazy as them. And that's why you have mass shootings happening and things like this happening, because they're getting this validation. If AI starts to give that validation, then we are in serious trouble.